Hi, it's Paul here from InterAcct Software. Today we're looking at the onboarding function in InterAcct. It's a tool that we'll be able to use to bring in new employees and also when employees leave as well. So it allows you to set up, for example, the user record, the employee record, and the payroll record, and do other things as well, like, for example, have a list of requirements that you might need to do. You might need to give them a tour. You might need to make sure they've got their computer set up, their email set up, maybe a phone. So it can be a list of requirements that are needed when an employee starts. And if they leave, things like, okay, make sure they return their keys, return the laptop, that sort of thing. So you can set up all those sort of list of requirements and associate that list to a particular person as well, to say, okay, Terry is the person in charge of setting up the email addresses, so that job can be attached to him. So that's the sort of thing. You'll find it under payroll and employees. I'll use the one under employees just for now, and it will look like this onboarding. So if I come into here, and I'm just going to push enter at the search screen, and you can see a number of names that we've already got in, just some dummy names that are in there. And you can see over on here that basically there's status of what's required. So, for example, if they don't need a company email address, it will have not required. And these ones here are already needed to be set up. There's actually none here that I've set up other than this one here, which is myself. And I've got myself as I've left the company, and I need to delete these records, or deactivate them anyway. So the payroll, the employee, the access. So that's what it's saying here. You can also have a restart position. So for example, this person here, I've said they've actually restarted 4 different times. So in this case, they're on a restart. So we've got to set up their records again. And you can set different requirements based on a restart as well. So they might not need to do everything they would do on their first time starting for the company. And you've got also down here, requirement register. You've got a bit of a history of what they've done and when they've restarted. This is just test data, so I've just got them starting and stopping over a month. But yeah, you can put down all those things, and each of the requirements of what they need to do. For example, you can have a look here. This is when they restart. What do they need to do? These might be the things that they you might need to check off. But you can set what these are based on their class of their employment. So under here, there's different labor classes. Again, you can set these up to be whatever you want. So I've got, for example, an admin person. Well, just for my testing, I had it set to no for payroll, but most likely, so I can come into the setup class here and change that back to a yes, that they would normally have payroll. So under here also, you can see you can change those to yes or no. You've also got all the requirements, whether they've onboarding requirements, offboarding or leaving requirements, restart requirements. So under this button here, you can set those requirements. You can put these ticks yes or no, whether this applies to onboarding, offboarding, or restart. And then under here, you can see those being filtered. So these are the tasks that are onboarding, these are the tasks offboarding, and these are the tasks that have been set to restart. So yeah, you can also, if you look under here, requirement groups, there is ability to set up as many of these groups and codes. So each of them have a list of items underneath each one of them. So you can set up as many of those as you like. I've just got some defaults in there, but you can modify that to personalize that for your company. And then this button here refreshes the requirements. So if I hit that at any time, if I've made some additional requirements that could be used, they'll come into this list, and you can then scroll down and find that one and either put it onboarding, offboarding, restart, whatever you might to do. You can assign an employee to it, default employee that you could then change later, but that's could be done for each type of task. You can put that sort of employee in. And then when you go to create a new employee under the onboarding, you'll then select a particular class, and based on that class, you'll then have a different set of requirements depending on what type of employee they are and what sort of things they might have. Obviously, not everyone's going to have a laptop, or someone might need a vehicle instead. Those are the sort of easy sort of things that you might have on here. So you can set those here. So when we've got a new employee, and I'll just go to a brand new one. This one's a restart one. Let's go to this one here as a brand new one. What it's going to do is it's going to default to create a code. Now that code can be set or modified to suit whatever you want to do. So for this company, it's got last name, first name is 3 characters for each. You can use up to 8 characters. I would suggest up to 8 characters. You can actually use 10, but I normally suggest use 8 just in case you want to use those extras for when there's a name that's the same as someone else and you want to just put like maybe the year of birth or something like that as the extra bit of code there. So then once you put that in, it can set that to each of these payroll, employee record, and the user access or the user login. If they haven't been set up before, you'll see this big plus button for each of them, and you'll then be able to, for example, click on there, and then it will fill in what it's already got, and you can finish off the payroll record from there. And once that's done, it's then going to mark this as, rather than setup required, that it's active. So let's quickly do one of those for, let's do one for the employee. It's a little bit quicker. Oh, it's interesting. Date of birth doesn't come through. We'll sort that out later. Okay, so there's these questions relating to employee setup. I'm just going to leave them blank at the moment, and I would have thought that could have been filled in as well. All right, so now that menus come up, we now know that this employee record's saved. The employee record gets used throughout the system for things like, who's assigned to this particular task, or maybe who's created the purchase order, that sort of thing, where it's not an employee or an employee record in here is not necessarily someone you have to have in the payroll, but it normally is. But it could be also something like a subcontractor or some sort of other name that you're wanting to assign work or responsibility to. But for this guy, it's just now that's showing now that exists. So now it's showing active, and that's the sort of thing you'd be able to do for each of these. So with the requirements, this guy actually doesn't have any, but let's just see if we can just add them in on the fly as well. Yeah, it looks like we can. So if you want to add something extra in, we can do that through here as well. Put some notes in. And if there's an employee sign, which we'll say no, and we can say yes, let's say that's complete as well. So you can see back here, there's a requirements total and the requirements done. Obviously, if you have something in here that isn't completed yet, it will show that you've still got to do that. So let's say get a first aid kit. Okay, so you can see now we've got 50% of our requirements done. So that shows up on the list here as well. So let me just go back into that. There we go. You can see that it's 50% done for the requirements there. We've got the employee code is active, and the other things need setting up still. With the email address, you can just say yes, you've done it. It's sort of just a bit like a requirement task, but I've just got it on this front screen just to give it a bit more promotion of that it's important. So yeah, so once you've said yes, you've created it, then it shows active there, and when you come back to the list, you'll see that it shows active here as well. That's probably the main things I really wanted to show you at the moment. So the main things you'll want to do when you first get this set up is go through your classes, decide what sort of classes you will require things like payroll, employee, user access, and the company email, and all those other requirements that we talked about in terms of all the different requirements as safety and digital changes and all those sort of things. So once you've done that, at any stage, let's just go and do one now. We'll create a new one, and it does ask for the first name, surname, and then birthday, and in that order. That's just how it sorts the data, because it allows for the same name twice with a different birth date. So let's put in John Smith. I've got caps on. Let's go back. Let's try it again. Now I don't need the capital J. It will do that for me. Okay, Smith. Okay, and the birth date I'll put in as that date. Okay, so now you can see that it's gone back to the top and starts filling in the other things. So it's saying that based on our coding structure that we've suggested, it's going Smith John. Now, if the code already exists, it will tell you at this point, and it won't let you pass here until you've got a unique code. Okay, so position, we'll just say fire marshal. And we'll say, what's his name? John Smith. That's just the personal email, so the business email is further down. And this is the trigger to decide what we're going to need to use. So I'm just going to use admin for this one. It could be, we could have fire marshals, for example, as a different labor class. It's up to you what you want to do there. Okay, so once I've done that, as you can see, all the yeses have come through because we need all the requirements for this one. If, for instance, you decide, no, actually, for this guy, we're going to overwrite that, you can do overwrite their InterAcct access if they don't need that, and any of the other things you can do as well. So let's just leave it like that. And start date, let's say they started yesterday. Okay. So that's going to create the list of the requirements based on the fact that we've selected admin, which there's those 17 requirements. So you can see that that we still need to create these two records. So you would click into those and do that, or we would go through and complete these tasks or assign them to someone to complete them. Later on we'll have a report that we can spit out to send the assigned people the tasks they need to do. At this stage, it's all just in here is where we've got this data. Okay, I'm just going to close that down. I'm just going to look back at the list, and there we have John Smith there. I'm just going to refresh that data, and you should see that, yep, there we go. John Smith has got on board, no access to InterAcct, and 0% done here. So the other thing I just want to show you is you do have that button to say, for instance, leave the company. And you also have, for someone who's left the company, a button that to rejoin the company. So if you do hit that button here, and let's just say they've rejoined as of the 20th, you can set their class again. It will default to what they've already had, but if they're coming back in a different role, it would be good to choose it there. And the status would normally be employed, and any other comments just might be restarted after workers' comp, something like that. And that goes off and gets the requirements based on a restart. So you'd come through and change that. Once you come back to the actual main record itself, you can see that because we hadn't deleted the old codes, everything's active here and ready to go. So there's nothing more to do here. But if, for instance, we had changed their access to to make it so they didn't have access to InterAcct anymore, you might need to switch that back on, but it would show you here that there's no access. So let me just show you what that might look like. So this would be flagged as no. So if we come back here, you can see that it shows that sure it exists, but it's locked out. So you have to come in here and unlock them to bring them back into active status. Okay, that's about it for today. If you've got any questions, you can email me at support@interact.com.au or you can give me a buzz. Okay, have a great one. See ya. Bye.